Hello, and welcome to Family Secrets Unveiled. The story I'm about to tell you is a true story, a story of secrets buried beneath a perfect facade, of love, betrayal, and a wedding cake with blood inside. It all began with a wedding. A splendid wedding, straight out of a fairy tale. The bride, Elara Vance, a 28-year-old talented architect, with hair as golden as the sun and deep blue eyes. The groom, Julian Devereux, 31, a successful and charming businessman with a warm smile. They met at an art exhibition, and their love blossomed quickly and intensely. A little over a year later, they stood before the altar, vowing to love each other for a lifetime. The wedding took place at an old, majestic castle in rural Connecticut. White roses and hydrangeas decorated every corner. Everything was perfect, from Elara's stunning wedding dress to Julian's adoring gaze. After the ceremony, they entered the reception hall together. The centerpiece of the party was the wedding cake, a three-tiered work of art covered in smooth white frosting with delicate sugar flowers. It was the moment of the cake cutting. Everyone applauded and cheered. Elara and Julian held hands, the silver knife gleaming in the light. They gently cut the first slice. But as the knife sank deep, something dark and glistening emerged. It wasn't strawberry jam or chocolate filling. It was a dark, viscous liquid, just like blood. Elara and Julian looked at each other, their smiles frozen. A deafening silence fell over the room. People started whispering and murmuring. A few guests, horrified, recoiled. Julian, his face pale, quickly reassured everyone. He explained it was just a food coloring mishap, perhaps a tasteless prank. But Elara knew it wasn't a joke. Her eyes were fixed on the cake. Something was wrong. A chilling, dreadful sensation crawled up her spine. That night, after all the guests had left, Elara couldn't sleep. She remembered the look in Julian's eyes as he tried to calm everyone down. There was something so unusual about it, as if he already knew something. She crept down to the kitchen, looking for the cake. It was still there, but a part of the frosting had been scraped away. She took a deep breath and dipped her finger into the dark liquid. A metallic, salty taste touched her tongue. It was blood. There was no doubt about it. Her heart pounded. Who did this? Why? And what did this have to do with her marriage? Elara began to feel suspicious about everything, about Julian, about their love. He had been too quick to cover up the truth. He had acted like someone who knew what was going on but was trying to hide it. The happiness of her wedding day had vanished, replaced by fear and confusion. She started to observe Julian's every action and word more carefully. She noticed he was often on mysterious late-night calls and quickly deleted messages. One evening, while Julian was in the shower, Elara decided to open his laptop. She was nervous, her hands trembling, but curiosity and fear overrode everything. She found a hidden folder, named with a meaningless sequence of numbers. When she opened it, she froze. Inside were a series of photos and documents related to a young woman with fiery red hair. The woman looked very much like Elara, but younger. And most importantly, it was Elara's twin sister, who had gone missing 10 years ago. Elara had always thought her sister had run away, but these documents revealed a completely different story. There were photos of her sister with a man Elara recognized immediately. It was Julian. Elara's instincts were right. Julian was not the perfect husband she thought he was. He had lied to her, hiding a terrible secret. Elara felt like a puppet, manipulated in a game she knew nothing about. The wedding cake with blood inside wasn't a prank, it was a warning. Elara felt her entire world crumble beneath her feet. The laptop was full of secrets she could never have imagined. The photos of her sister, Serafina, and Julian were not romantic, but tense, clandestine shots. One photo showed Serafina sobbing in Julian's arms, another showed him dragging her into a car. The accompanying documents were bank statements, legal papers for property transfers, and encrypted emails that Elara couldn't decipher. The painful truth slowly emerged. Julian and Serafina not only knew each other, but they had a complex and troubled relationship. Serafina hadn't run away, she had been held captive by Julian. Serafina's death wasn't an accident as the police had concluded, but a meticulously planned conspiracy. Elara felt a wave of nausea rise up. She stumbled out of the room, ran to the bathroom, and threw up everything she had eaten. She couldn't face this truth. The man she loved, the one who had promised to protect her, was the one who had kidnapped and possibly murdered her sister. He had approached her, seduced her, and married her to hide his crime. Perhaps he saw Elara as a mere puppet, a replacement for Serafina. She had to confront Julian. She couldn't stay silent and pretend everything was normal. She knew it was dangerous, but she couldn't live with this lie. When Julian stepped out of the shower, in his bathrobe, Elara looked at him, her eyes no longer filled with affection, but with coldness and hatred. "Julian," she said, her voice trembling, "what did you do to my sister?" Julian's face changed. The warm smile vanished, replaced by a cold, terrifying expression she had never seen before. He didn't deny it, just stared at her with a threatening gaze. "What did you see?" he asked, his voice low and dangerous. Elara didn't answer, she just gestured towards the laptop. Julian understood everything. He stepped closer, his expression shifting from anger to a sinister smile. "Did you think you could figure everything out, Elara?" he said, his voice mocking. "You've always been so naive. I tried to hide everything. You shouldn't have been so curious. I arranged everything for us to get married. You're a gift, a toy. Everything you have belongs to me." Julian revealed the truth. He had been deeply in love with Serafina, but she loved another man. Out of jealousy, he had kidnapped her, holding her captive in a secret basement beneath his house. The bloody wedding cake gift was, in fact, Serafina's blood, a coded message to her family that she had been taken. Julian also revealed that he had used magic to control Serafina and force her to marry him. Elara couldn't believe what she was hearing. He was not only a psychopath but also an abuser, a kidnapper. She couldn't believe she had ever loved such a monster. While Julian was talking, Elara noticed a cell phone on the table, and she knew she had to act immediately. She quickly grabbed the phone and sent a message to her mother. "Mom, I'm in danger. Julian kidnapped me and killed my sister Serafina. Please call the police and come to the secret basement under the house." Julian saw her send the message, and the smile on his face vanished completely. He stepped closer and grabbed her arm. "How dare you?" he growled, his voice full of hate. Elara was no longer afraid, she only felt rage. She had been deceived for too long, and she would not let it happen anymore. She would fight to the end to find the truth and avenge her sister. The confrontation reached a breaking point. Julian, with bloodshot eyes, held Elara tightly. His hot breath fanned her face. Elara felt a chill run down her spine. She knew he had lost all reason, and she was in an extremely dangerous situation. "Do you think a message can save you?" he said, his voice full of mockery. "No one can save you from me, Elara." Elara knew she couldn't fight with brute force. She had to use her wits. She scanned the room, looking for a weapon. But there was nothing. She looked into Julian's eyes, trying to find a shred of humanity, but found only a cold, empty void. "You loved her," Elara said, trying to keep her voice calm. "Why did you do this? Did she do anything wrong to you?" "She didn't do anything wrong," Julian said, his voice cold. "She just didn't love me. And that's a sin I cannot forgive." Julian revealed that he had been stalking Serafina for years. He had planned everything, from her kidnapping to her murder and even his marriage to Elara. He saw Elara as a puppet, a replacement for Serafina. He had used magic to control Serafina, and when she resisted, he killed her. Elara felt a wave of nausea. She couldn't believe she had loved such a monster. "You don't love me," Elara said. "You just want to control me, just like you did with her." Julian laughed maniacally. "You're wrong, Elara. I love you. I've loved you since you were in your mother's womb. I've been watching you since you were a child. I know everything about you." Elara felt a chill run down her spine. She remembered the photos of her sister she had found on Julian's laptop. He hadn't just been stalking her, he had been stalking her entire family. "So you planned everything?" Elara asked. "Even our marriage?" "That's right," Julian said, his voice full of arrogance. "I planned everything. I bought the wedding cake and I put Serafina's blood inside. It was a gift for you, Elara. A gift from your sister. Julian reached out and grabbed Elara's neck. Her breath grew shallow. She tried to struggle, but couldn't. I won't let you go, he snarled. You'll stay with me forever. Elara's head was spinning. She couldn't believe she had fallen into such a trap. She had loved a psychopath. She had married a demon. At that moment, Elara's mother had called the police and told them everything. The police quickly arrived at the house and found Elara and Julian in a standoff. The police ordered Julian to release Elara, but he didn't listen. He still held her neck tightly and held a knife in his other hand. No one can save her from me, he snarled. The police had to use a taser to shoot Julian. He fell to the ground, and the knife fell to the floor. Elara quickly escaped from Julian's grasp. She looked at him, her eyes full of hate. You lost, Julian, she said. You lost. Julian laughed maniacally. I didn't lose, he said. I got you. And I will always have you. After Julian's arrest, Elara went through the darkest days of her life. She had to deal with the pain of losing her sister, the betrayal of the man she once trusted, and the psychological shock from the horrifying secrets. Every night, she was haunted by the image of the blood-stained wedding cake, by Julian's crazed smile, and the horrific photos of Serafina. The police investigation revealed the whole truth. Julian had planned everything, from kidnapping Serafina to marrying Elara. He had used magic to control Serafina, and when she resisted, he killed her. He used Serafina's blood to create the wedding cake, a warning to Elara's family that she had been taken. Elara visited Julian in prison. He still maintained his insane demeanor, his eyes showing no remorse. See, Elara, he said, I got you. I ruined your life, and I will always be a part of you. No, Elara said. You're wrong. You didn't get me. You lost everything. You lost your freedom, your reputation, everything. And you will never have me. Elara decided to leave everything behind and start a new life. She was no longer the naive Elara who believed in love. She had become a strong, resilient woman, determined to live a meaningful life, to avenge her sister. She started a charity foundation in Serafina's name to help victims of kidnapping and abuse. She wrote a book telling her story, and it became a bestseller. She used her story to inspire others, to help them overcome life's difficulties. And then one day, Elara received a letter from Julian. The letter had only one sentence: I'm still waiting for you, Elara. We'll meet again. Elara smiled bitterly. She knew Julian would never let her go. But she was no longer afraid. She was stronger, and she was ready to face anything. Elara's story doesn't have a completely happy ending. The pain and the haunting memories are still there, but she has found a purpose in life. She has turned her tragedy into a source of strength, and she has become a symbol of resilience and hope. Elara's story shows us that, even in the darkest moments, we can still find the light. And that, even when we are broken, we can rebuild our lives. If you want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the latest videos from Family Secrets Unveiled.